After yesterday's wild drop, XRP recovered. Livecoin Watch showed it plummet all the way to $2.74. Hey, XRP wasn't the only one involved in this disaster. Yesterday, the entire cryptocurrency market suffered a significant setback. The key question that everyone is asking though is this: has the worst of it passed? Have we reached the bottom? Is it time for us to relax? The majority of analysts appear to agree, yet even if we do decline, some acknowledge that it is still possible. It's not the end of the world, really. You'll understand why I say this. Look, we're not even close to structurally disrupting this bull market. People, it's simply not happening. Before we inevitably experience a bear market, we still have a long way to go, but we're not there yet. In fact, there's a lot to be happy about at the moment. XRP is recovering well. Hopefully yesterday was the worst that could happen. It is hoped that the price will be stable or even higher by the time you watch this. I can't promise that, of course. I'll take you through the opinions of several XRP chart analysts about all of this. Quickly though, I must tell you the truth. I have absolutely no experience in finance. You shouldn't purchase or sell anything based on what I'm telling you, and I'm not offering financial advice here. At the time of writing, XRP is trading at $2.93. Not at all shabby. Bitcoin is currently at $114,610, which is a fairly strong recovery from yesterday's low of $2.74, which is a good bounce back from the $112,396 24-hour low. The fear that was in the air was insane, but I'm sure some of you are breathing a little easier today than you did yesterday. It wasn't necessary, to be honest. Since this bull market is far from over, it truly makes no sense to panic. We simply haven't arrived yet. The problem is, we haven't even reached that insane state of euphoria that everyone talks about. That situation where your barista is giving you investment advice and your neighbor is asking you how to purchase cryptocurrency. That's still a long way off. Check this out then. TechDev, a chart analyst, shared this gem with his 538,000 former followers. Every dip keeps the crowd thinking maybe top, he added. And it ought to provide you with all the information you require. Timeline wall of fear eggshells since 15K. When it breaks, worry. That's exactly right, dude. Here's the strange part. He posted that on the evening of August 1st. I had really thought the same thing more than 12 hours prior to that. I wanted to be sure that everyone understood, so I wrote it in all caps. Indeed, I was essentially shouting at you online. Fear does not lead markets to top. That's the main point of the message. The IT developer is telling you exactly what I was yelling about when he says what he's saying. We're not at the end, people, even though everyone is terrified to death. This is the point at which you should begin to worry. Even when everyone is in a state of euphoria and you experience the first significant decline that could indicate a bear market, you cannot be absolutely certain that this is the case. Your warning sign, however, is when the market dismisses that dip as if it were a minor one. However, you shouldn't be concerned at the moment when everyone else is in a panic. Basically, it's always the opposite of what the general public believes. That's the nature of markets. Here are the thoughts of Crypto Wizard regarding Bitcoin. He refers to this as a healthy retest. As the week progresses, he continues to monitor the situation. As he had predicted, Bitcoin broke out of the inverse head and shoulders pattern, but it was unable to break over the significant $120,000 resistance level. It is now descending once more to test that breakout. His main query is if Bitcoin can reverse this level and transform it into support. He thinks dips are still available for purchase. Therefore, he does not believe that this celebration is over, not even close. His entire vibe is that everyone who wants to get in should buy dips. And to be honest, I completely understand it. Check this out then. This Bitcoin dominance chart he has is quite instructive. The collapse is imminent, and to be honest, that's precisely what we want. Although the dominance of Bitcoin has been increasing since 2022, this bearish engulfing pattern that concluded July essentially said no to the symmetrical triangle's upper trend line. We've seen this movie before, and the last time it happened, everything went horribly wrong. The problem is that despite Bitcoin's continued price increase, we genuinely want its dominance to collapse. Why? Because altcoins will have their chance to shine as a result. This is the playbook for each and every cycle. People, everything is going perfectly as it should. Right now, there's no reason to panic. Being patient will pay off greatly. As the market was essentially collapsing yesterday, Credible Crypto offered some insight that we all needed to hear. In his video, he outlined 3 potential outcomes. And now for the really exciting part. We bounced back around where we were trading in 2 of them. We are left with only the last option, if Bitcoin falls below $110,000, which eliminates one scenario, and below $105,000, which eliminates the second. What counts though is that the overall framework remains sound in any situation. Don't obsess over what is essentially just noise on the shorter timescales, he advised. There is some very wise advice there. don't panic. Actually, everything is all right, and it's good to see us recover in this way. However, a person by the name of Red Oiser then interrupts with a pessimistic statement, essentially stating that perhaps Bitcoin has already peaked, and that this time there won't be an alt season. You know that whole no one has a crystal ball routine, when they beg people to be understanding of their anxiety over the current situation. Credible crypto is simply not amenable to it. He responds in a logical manner. Nothing at all indicates that we've already reached the pinnacle. People, you can't trade these markets on emotions. Reason and rationality are always required. Hall Fashi that dial, Bitcoin would need to fall below $74,000 in order for that upper time frame structure to truly break, and we are far from that point. He makes a really valid point. You are allowing your emotions to control your actions if you are becoming anxious when trading at $112,000, even though you know there is no actual risk, even if we fall to 110k, 100k, or even 90k. And in this area, that is a surefire way to end things badly. Guy's reality check is worthy of a standing ovation. Oh, and he said a few days ago that it might be time to resume loading up on XRP. He reposted that this morning using only XRP, and have a look at this incredible XRP BTC chart. It is currently testing the same line as resistance after falling below a crucial level. He anticipates that it will break through at roughly the current point. People, don't sleep on this. I wouldn't be shocked if XRP reached a new all-time high against Bitcoin this cycle. Since November, it has been soaring higher, and to be honest, we have a long way to go. Dr. Cat, a chart analyst, made a prognosis on XRP that is worth looking at. According to him, if we examine the correction on the 3-day chart, it should finish between August 2nd and August 4th, with support at $2.78. With a little more hindsight, we can say that he was quite close in the favorites. At this point, we're essentially at odds with one another. The problem is that many analysts provided somewhat varied figures. While some called for $2.80, some went a little lower, and Dr. Cat stated $2.78. Now, I understand that for some of these folks, setting a price is their line of defense for invalidation. But this is my perspective. A group of analysts that have comparable price goals, and say essentially the same thing, are most likely onto something. My observation of these people indicates that we're in quite secure terrain when there's that kind of consensus, regardless of whether they view hitting their exact number as invalidation or not. Unbelievably, we kissed $2.74 for a brief moment, but we've already risen above it. Thus, things appear to be going fairly well, at least while I'm recording this. This morning, CW dropped this gem. XRP long holdings have essentially disappeared. The shorts are all that remain. Of course, this may be interpreted as a bearish feeling, but here's the other side. Sitting ducks, such short positions are just ready to be completely destroyed. And to be completely honest, this is the reason I never play around with leverage. Look, leverage is just plain dumb, unless you're a trading whiz, which is essentially 0.01% of people. No matter how alluring it seems, I don't care. There's no doubt that you will lose your money. To each their own. I understand that many people still want to play that game, but I'm telling you now that it's stupid and will burn you. To get right to the point though, this entire arrangement is going to blow up. Believe me, people, this is going to take a significant turn for the better. Dom, a chart analyst, provided us with an XRP update yesterday afternoon that merits analysis. He mentioned that his first location to watch was the $2.80 sector, and we certainly cut through that one. He wants to bounce someplace between where we were and $2.65, which is his next level. We didn't have to hit $2.65 precisely, but it might drop that low. Here's his warning, though the chart becomes really ugly if it drops below $2.65. In any case, he wasn't really excited about the short-term momentum